Hello, everyone, and welcome again to today's Zyto Balance webinar for Life Prosper users. This webinar is our webinar number 3 in your Zyto journey, and this one is going to be focused primarily on how to scan with Zyto Balance and how to interpret the report that you will see after each scan. So I want to provide an easy, simple, and effective way for you to interpret the Zyto report to your client and recommend the right Life Prosper products. By now, you have probably seen our webinars number 1 and 2. The first one was a video that introduces Zyto in general, what it is and how it can help you. The second one was a webinar that introduces the activation process for you. So how to activate, how to purchase and how to activate your Zyto license. And then it also contains some basic steps that you can do in your Zyto software and how to navigate the software. But despite of this, we of course recommend to watch Zyto official training videos, which I also explain in the webinar number 2 where to find them. So if you, in case you haven't seen these 2 webinars by now, please go to Life Prosper YouTube channel and please watch these webinars first, so this can be a nice flow of information for you. For those of you that don't know me yet, my name is Lubika Krysiak-Belhadjova, and I work with Zyto users in Europe and basically outside of America, everywhere. So in case you have any questions that I can help with, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You probably have my contact if you are a Zyto user, because I personally send out an activation agreement to each and every one of you. Okay, so let's get started. What are we going to talk about today? Today we're going to talk about what is Zyto GSR technology and Zyto Hand Cradle. We are also going to go through 4 simple steps of successful Zyto report interpretation with your client. So this will give you an image of how your consultation with your client can look like, including the Zyto technology. Of course, you don't have to follow the exact process. This is more just an idea for you of what you might want to implement, what doesn't work for you. So this is just your source of ideas. And then I'm also going to talk about Zyto monthly subscription, since I know that some of you have already asked about this by now. So this is our today's agenda, but also after this, Mr. Moises, who you all know from Life Prosper, and I are discussing, we are already scheduling a date for our live webinar that will be focused on frequently asked questions of Zyto users, and it will be a live webinar, so there would also be time for you guys to ask your questions directly to me. You can send me your questions, and then it can be a very interactive webinar. You can have answers to all your questions. So stay tuned for information about this, which is this webinar is coming up. And I hope that together with these first 3 webinars and then Q&A webinar after that, I'm sure that it will give you more information that you even need to be able to successfully scan your clients with Zyto technology. Okay, so first things first. For those of you who are not familiar with Zyto technology yet, or basically the reason why I want to have this here, if you get a question from your Zyto client, what is Zyto technology? What is this scanner? I want you to have an easy, or maybe not so easy, but a short explanation for them that explains it. Also, just for your information, the scanner itself, or the software for the scanner, explains the technology instead of you. So when you scan your client, there is a video playing, and that explains your client what they are going through, what kind of technology is this, what kind of results can they expect, all of this. So you don't have to do this. But in case you're at an event or somewhere and people ask you, what is this Zyto scanner that you have? Here it is. A Zyto scan involves presenting questions in the form of digital signatures that the body answers directly. So remember, there are digital signatures. That's important. We use these to ask your body questions. The Zyto hand cradle measures the body's galvanic skin response to each unique digital signature and sends the data directly to the software. So it's like we ask your body questions and your body gives us responses. And that all happens thanks to the wonderful Zyto hand cradle that we use. So let's talk a little bit more about the Zyto hand cradle, what it is. This is the key aspect of this process. The hand cradle is the hardware, the scanner that we use to measure the GSR, the galvanic skin response, and this way to ask your body questions. Zyto hand cradle is cleared by the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, and we are very proud of that because it is the only scanner of this type in the world which is cleared by the FDA. The GSR, which is the hand cradle, which is the technology that hand cradle uses, basically the hand cradle measures fluctuations in electrical conductivity of your skin. It is the most accurate scanner in the world, and it has 6 points of contact with your skin, with your hand. With Zyto hand cradle, it is safe to scan children, pregnant women, people with pacemakers, even pets. To be honest, I know a lot of Zyto users even scan their pets in case their pets have a piece of skin with no hair on it, then they are able to scan even pets. But of course, you don't have to do that. This is just an interesting information, but it is safe for everyone. There is a lot more that you can learn about the hand cradle, and if you want to learn more, please scan the QR code that you can see here, and you're gonna get to a web page that provides a lot more information. So, okay, you know what the hand cradle is, you know that we put our hand on it, and as you can guess, or as you probably know by now, the way this works is that you put your hand on the hand cradle is connected to the computer, and then the scan can begin. So you can start the scan in the Zyto Pro software, the scan then begins, and it takes about 5 minutes. Now the question is, what happens during a scan? The first thing we establish is your range. The range is, and I'm going to use some Zyto vocabulary here. I'm also going to explain it, but just so you know, some of these words are pretty unique to Zyto. And if you'll have any questions about any of this later on, feel free to ask me, to contact me directly. So first, we establish your range, and the range is your normal response. In other words, it is something that will help us understand which responses are similar to your normal response and which responses are far away and very different from your normal response. This brings me to step number 2 in this process, which is a stressor scan. With Zyto Balance, we scan about 200 biomarkers. These biomarkers you can imagine as organs, glands, systems in your body, emotions, meridians, but also things like vitamins, minerals, pesticides, antibiotics, and so on. These are the things that we ask your body questions about. Do you remember what I said at the beginning? That Zyto is a simple simple process, and that the video in the Zyto Pro software answers the question of your client about what Zyto is, what kind of process is this. The video also describes the Zyto scan as a questionnaire. So we ask your body questions, your body gives us responses, and during this step number 2 that I'm still explaining, the stressor scan, this is the part when we ask the questions. And when we get answers, we can see which ones are responding normally because they are close to your range, to your normal response, and which ones responded unusually. And those we call stressors because they are responding with a level of energy stress. Number 3 step is a balancer scan. The reason for this step is very simple. Once we identify where the stress is in your body, we want to get rid of it. And therefore, during the balancer scan, we send a digital representation of every single Life Prosper product to your body, and we observe how your body reacts to this. Based on the observation, we can then show you a list of those products that your body is responding very positively to, or that your client's body is responding very positively to. And these are the products that are supposed to get rid of that energy stress that we now know thanks to the stressor scan, the step number 2. And after all of this is done, step number 4 is just system analyzing the data. And step number 5 is what we have been waiting for. The software, the Zyto software, generates reports that will display the results of this scan for you, of this process. And there is actually not just one report. There are several reports that you can use in your wellness business. You can, for example, work with immunity report. You can work with organs report. You can work with emotions report. There are about 13 different reports. I think it's exactly 13 reports. But the one that is the most popular one, and that from what I know from my clients, the one that they use the most is the wellness report. But you can use all of them after each scan. They are all available to you right there in the software. You can switch between them, and all of these are available to every Zyto Balance users for no additional costs. So you don't have to pay an extra to get an emotions report or an organs report. This is all included. Now the question is, which report should I pick and show my client, right? Because if I would show them all of these, it might be a little bit too much information. Well, the answer is easy. Ask your client. That's my recommendation. Ask your client. Before you even begin the scan, ask your client, what do you want to focus on today? Is there any specific reason for today's scan? What area of your wellness or life would you like to improve? Maybe they will tell you, I have not been sleeping well over the last few weeks. Let's see if there is something that would address that area. Maybe they will tell you that they want to work on their emotional health. Maybe they will tell you that they want to work on their gastrointestinal system, that they have been experiencing some changes in that area. And regardless of which area, I'm sure you can find a report that will address the area that they want to focus on. So, and I also want to show you guys the process of all of this in the software before we start interpreting the report, which is here. This is the Zyto Pro software. This is what you're going to see after you log in. And in the last webinar, we already went through every single one of these options here. But the one that I want to show you even today, because this is something that is directly related to running a scan, is the part which is called libraries. And this is where you can set up your inventory of Life Prosper products. So for example, here in the first section, when you click on all Life Prosper products, this is where you can see those products. If you only want to scan with a couple of them or with 3 of them, you can create an inventory. Our training videos teach you how to do that, but I would recommend, since there are not too many as of right now, I know there will be more coming up later on, but as of right now, we're at the beginning. Stick with all of them. Later on, when there will be more of them, you can create an inventory if you like. Then next part is services. And this one I want to show you because you actually have to set up the services inventory in case you want to see what services is your body or your client's body responding positively to. So as you can see, this is a list of 315 services which are available in the Zyto database, and you can pick the ones that you want in your inventory and move them to your database. So this, on the left side of the blue bar, this is your inventory, and on the right side, that's what's available to you. So I will just pick a few of those that I know I can refer my clients to, that I know that are available in my area. I would create an inventory of them. I have about 12 here. So this is my inventory. And then out of these 12, I will see in the report which ones my body responds positively to. Okay, so that's all you need to know about setting up your inventory. If you just want basic information, but I still recommend that training that will teach you more. And then you just either create a new client here, or if that client already is in your database, then you just search for their name here and find them. Then you get to your client's profile. This is where you will see all the previous Zyto Balance scans with this client. This is where you can schedule new appointments for this client, where you can add notes for yourself that your client is not going to be able to see. And when you click on the new session button, you're going to start a scan. So this is how you start a scan. For the purpose of this webinar, I already did a scan, so we don't have to wait here. And here is the report. So as I mentioned, you are going to be able to see all 13 reports when you click on the select report. So you can use any of these, but I would recommend, if you're at the beginning of this journey and if you're still not so sure, not 100% confident, stick to one report at the beginning, and then later on, when you will be more experienced, you can add on more reports, you can add on more programs, more wellness programs for your clients that would involve more or another report. But for the beginning, I would recommend to stick with the wellness report, which is the default one that you can see right after a scan. And this is also the one that we're going to discuss today. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. When you see the wellness report, the first thing you can see here is the dynamic profile. And that's basically this is a summary of your response to the Zyto scan. So we scan 198 biomarkers, which are digital representations of actual items. We now know that, right? And here we can see that 84 of them responding out of range. Those are the red dots. And 114 responded in range. Those are the green dots. So the range is this big circle. Everything that is inside is a normal response, very similar to your range, to your normal response. And everything that is outside is a stressed response. So those are the things that we want to focus on. Those are the things that we want to work on, and we want to move them back to your normal area, back to no stress mode, right? So let's just run through the report, scroll through the report and see what else is there. You can see that the next part is the list of Life Prosper products, and there is also a number next to it. So you can see that the first one, the liver balance fluid, would bring 41 biomarkers out of 84 back to normal for me. So this is clearly the number one product my body needs, and I want to start using it right away. But the next thing you can see here is that if I use the first one and I add the second one, the heavy metal sorbent, it is going to add additional 23 biomarkers back to normal. And if I add third one, it is going to add additional 10 biomarkers. So of course, the ideal situation would be to take all of them. In case your client is on a budget, you can focus on the most effective ones, and we are going to talk about that a little bit later. So here we have descriptions of these products, and then we have the summary page, which is basically a summary of your reaction to your responses of your 4 core body systems: detoxification system, gastrointestinal, hormonal system, immune system, diet and nutrition, hydration, inflammation, mental, emotional stress, sleep, and toxic stress. So this is the summary page. And then next in the report, there is a page dedicated to each one of these areas. But let's now go back to our presentation, because as I promised, I have 4 simple steps for you of how to interpret the report. I now showed you what the report looks like. It may still not be so clear about how to use it to actually explain the results to your client. Okay, so let's look at these 4 steps. Step number 1 is to identify the priorities in this report. Just like with everything else, when you set and define clear priorities and goals, it is always easier to work on those than if you would just focus on everything, just a little bit of everything, you know? So let's just define what our priorities are and tell those priorities to your client very clearly. You have to tell them your priorities to focus on during this journey or during this wellness improvement program are, and it would be number 1 would be the immune system, and then number 2 would be the toxic stress, and number 3 hormonal system or endocrine system. I wouldn't do more than 3 priorities because then it gets a little bit too much information. I would stick to the top 2 or 3 priorities. So tell your clients what their priorities are and tell them that this is something we're going to focus on, because this is what's asking for help, asking for those products which are so effectively going to deal with that stress in those areas. Now, how did we identify these areas, these priorities? Very simple, very straightforward. As you can see, there is a bar next to each one of these, and the longer it is, the longer it gets, when it reaches this red area, that's clearly your number 1 or number 2 priority. But you know, some of these are long, similar, there is a similar length, so we don't just have to use the pictures to identify that there is actually a value, little numbers here that you can see. This one, the first one, is minus 17.03. The second one, the toxic stress, is 12.14. And the third one is 10.79. So these values will tell you the higher it is, the more of a priority that is for you, right? And I also have a little graph here on the slide where you can see, because very often people are confused with the plus and minus responses, and that's why I included this graphic here. So basically, in this graphic, I am showing you the range value. In this case, the range is 6.67. what it actually means is the way this system works is that the range is actually from minus 6.67 all the way to the plus 6.67. So the orange area you can see here. And everything that is within this area, regardless of whether it is plus or minus, it is under control. It is normal. There is no stress, nothing to worry about, nothing to even think about. And everything that is outside of that area is a priority. So that's something that we want to move back to normal. So you don't have to look at minus or plus, because this is just how the system is designed to show us what's within this area and what's outside, and it can be a minus or a plus. But in interpretation of the report, the minus or plus doesn't play any role. So it is, you can consider this as absolute values, no minus, no plus, just look at the numbers. If it is within the range, it is under control. If it is out of range, we are going to work on it. Okay, so the step number 1 is to identify the priorities. Next is step number 2, and that is to ask your client about the stressors. Okay, so let me go back to the software. Here in the software, you can see, just a second, you can see the same summary page that I just showed you screenshots of. And you remember that our number 1 priority was the immune system, right? So my step number 2 is I want to look closely at the immune system. So I'm going to scroll down, and you will see that there is a page dedicated to each one of those systems and areas that were listed on the summary page. But I'm going to skip over the gastrointestinal or detoxification because that's not my priority, right? My priority is the immune system. So this is the page I'm going to look for. And each page has the same structure. There is a description of this system. So when you give this to your client, when you send an email with the report to them, they can also learn about why is this important to take care of. It is also an educational material for them. So there is the description. There is a list of system stressors. So in this case, it is the immune system stressors. So these are the biomarkers that are related to the immune system and that my body responded extremely about. So when Zytoscan asked my body about antibiotics, probiotic bacteria, and so on, my body responded with a stress response. So that's another thing to look at. And then at the end of each of these pages, there is a list of Life Prosper products that will bring this specific area back to normal. So this is my priority. We want to look closer about, and before we focus on what products to recommend to your client, our step number 2 is to ask your client about stressors in his or her report, because that's the reason that's the way, actually, that's your way of creating that relationship with your clients. And the reason you want to create a relationship with your client is that the best marketing strategy for you is not to pay for social media ads or anything like that. The best one is when your clients are so happy with your service and with your help that they actually refer their family and friends to go see you as well and to experience a Zytoscan and to buy products from you. So it is important for you to create that relationship with the client, and when you are discussing the stress in their body, especially in this step number 2, I think that's a very easy way to get to know your client better and to deepen that relationship. Okay, so as you saw in my report, we saw some biomarkers here like antibiotics, probiotic bacteria, and you might feel confused about, okay, why are these here under the immune system? How are they related? What should I ask my client about antibiotics or probiotic bacteria? And I want to tell you that you don't have to be an expert to be able to interpret the report. Of course, the more you know, the more educated you are, the better the report works for you, the better this whole process works for you. But you can get there gradually. You can very easily just Google the information you know. So ask your client about antibiotics. Have they been taking any? Do they use probiotics, or is this something that is included in their diet? You know, just basic questions like this. And then if you want to learn more and discuss more with your client about why these are coming up for their immune system, I want to show you an example of how easy it is to get information, which can be so helpful when discussing a report with your client. You can basically consider every scan with your client a learning experience, and experiences like this that are really moving you gradually to more and more professional level. So for example, for me, I was wondering, how is antibiotics related to immunity system, right? Because it is the stressor number one for my number one priority. So I Googled, how is antibiotics related to immunity system? Because I'm not an expert on this, right? I'm an expert on our technology, but I'm not an expert on human body. And the reason I'm saying this is that I want to give you more confidence that, as I said, you don't have to be an expert. This is the way for you to learn and to grow. And you don't have to act in front of your client like you know everything about this. Zyto will give you that tool that will help you understand those connections, and then you just need to get those hints and use them. So I Googled, how is antibiotics related to immunity system? And just like that, I got to a study of university researchers, which that study gave me plenty of information about what is the relationship there. So from now on, whenever this repeats, this actually often repeats, antibiotics are very often an important stressor for clients for the immune system. So when this repeats, I will know that I will remember this information, and I will tell my clients who will have the same situation more research-based information, which is amazing and very helpful when interpreting the report. All right, so you identified the priorities for your clients to improve. You developed a discussion with your client, a deeper discussion to dig deeper into these priorities and what affects them. And now we want to recommend the most effective Life Prosper products that will help your clients to feel better, to have more energy, to basically get rid of all that stress that they have in their bodies. So for the step number 3, for recommending the right products, what I did is, in this report, I took a picture of the list of products from pages of all 3 of my priorities. So if you remember, it was the immune system, the hormonal system, and the toxic stress. So I took screenshots of those products that came up as the solution to get rid of the stress in those areas, and I compared them. And when I looked at all of them, I saw that definitely the number one product, the liver balance fluid, that's my number one product. So this is something that if your client only wants to get one product, this is the one that they need to buy. And it's very clear. You don't have to guess what's the best product for them. They don't have to guess. This is their body's response. Of course, ideal situation would be that your clients would want to buy all of these, but that's not the case all the time. So if they are on a budget, if they only want to buy 2 products, for example, you can take a look at those priorities areas and see what products repeat. So for me, that's the liver balance, number one, but I can also see that the full spectrum enzymes is all three of these priorities. So for me, that would be my number two product. It would be the liver balance and then the full spectrum enzymes. So this is the step number three, to recommend the right product. And one more information that I want to show you guys before we move to the last step, the step number four, is that, as I mentioned, it is very helpful if you get to know your client better, if you ask them questions that will open up deeper conversations. And I want to give you a hint on how to do this. So another hint on how to do this. When you scroll down, there is the emotional stress page. It is almost at the bottom of the report. And this page shows you everything just like the other pages, but it also shows you responses of emotions. And regardless of the fact, regardless of whether Life Prosper products are focused on improving emotional wellness or physical wellness, it doesn't matter, because Zyto looks at all of this as the whole system. Our emotions are connected to our physical health, right? We know that for sure now. So when you, if you feel like your client is ready to also improve their emotional area together with you, with your help, show them this page. Ask them about the emotions that came up. And this will for sure help you to help your clients to open up and help you to develop the deeper conversation. And then again, there are products that would help balance this area, because as I said, those don't have to be products that were designed to help with emotions, but because our emotions are so often related to our body, to our physical health, then if you use the right products, you will help both areas, the emotions and the the emotions and the physical health of our body. So that's just one more tip from me. And now let's take a look at our step number four, which is the last step for the report interpretation. And that is to recommend the right services to your client. And as I said, this is something you can use. You remember when I was showing you how to create a services inventory? You can use it, but you don't have to. That's entirely up to you. But I think it is a fantastic tool to not only recommend the right services, but also to grow your business. And this part you will find at the very bottom of the report. Let me show you. When you scroll down, 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 you are going to see the services. So this is where you can find the services. I just listed here some services that came up in one of my previous reports. And there is always a name of the service and then the description. But what I listed here is I gave you the name of the service and then some ideas about how you can use this to basically expand your business. So, for example, okay, so breathing exercises. You can offer your clients to attend your breathing exercises class if there is something that you are familiar with, or offer, or maybe you will find out that there is a demand for this, so you will take a class about this and start offering this. If not, that's totally fine. You can send your clients videos about breathing exercises a few days later after your scan, and this will give you a chance to follow up with your client and maybe schedule a next scan appointment. A few weeks later, follow up with your client again and ask about their progress on breathing exercises. You can, it can be just a quick WhatsApp message or something. Ask them, has this been helpful? Next example. This is a raindrop technique. This is something that people who use essential oils would offer very often. You don't have to, but you can create, you can refer your clients to people who offer this technique. Another example here is prayer and meditation. Meditation is something that a lot of us need to practice in this very fast world, right? So you can send your clients videos with meditation classes. And you can also contact someone who offers meditation classes, cooperate with them, and give your client a 10% discount voucher for their next meditation class, right? So this is how you expand. You see that opportunity? This is how you expand. You cooperate with other people. You refer your clients to them. They refer their clients to you for a scan and for products. So there are many ways of how you can use services to grow your business. One of my favorite is yoga. Again, you can just cooperate with a yoga center and organize events together. Yoga and scanning, wellness scanning events. You invite your contacts, they invite their contacts, and all of a sudden in one day, you double your list of clients. There are so many ways. You just stay creative, use these. Ask me if you need to. I can give you some more tips. We're also going to talk more about marketing tips in my next webinar, the one where you'll also have a chance to ask me questions. But just be creative, be open to possibilities. Okay, so these are my 4 simple steps for interpreting a Zyto report. I hope that this has been helpful. And one other thing that I want to mention in this webinar, because some of you guys have already been asking me about this, and that is the monthly fee. A lot of you reached out to us and you guys said that you were surprised that there is a monthly fee. And you were wondering if there is any way to buy this without a monthly fee. So the answer is no. There is no way to buy this without a monthly fee. There is either a monthly fee or annual fee. Annual one is a little bit more, you get a little discount because you actually pay for 10 months, but get 12 months of service. So if you are ready to pay for 10 months upfront, then annual fee is better. But I just want to show you that one monthly subscription of 45 euro equals to 3 scans if you charge your clients for a consultation 15 euro. Another thing I want to tell you is that 15 euro, even though it is here in my example, it's a very little price for a consultation like this. I recommend to charge a lot more. And then the Zyto balance pays for itself very easily. Think about this way. If you only meet your client and you don't scan them, you just talk to them and recommend the product, and then they buy the products for you, then it is kind of difficult for you to actually charge for the consultation, right? But then if you scan your clients, have a consultation, and recommend the products, in those scenarios, we highly advise to charge for your consultations, because you provide so much value to your clients, so much information. Just think about what was that for you when you were going to experience your first Zyto scan. You were probably so excited about getting that information about your body. So that's the same for your client. Your client is going to find out a lot about their body from every single Zyto scan and from the consultation with you. So of course it depends on where do you live, and what are the prices there, how much time you spend with your client. But for example, I have a client in Germany. I know she told me that she charges 90 euro per consultation, which takes 90 minutes. And that involves a scan, it involves the product recommendation and the consultation. And that was a few years ago. So I bet the price went up. But this is just an example for you to see that when you provide value to your client, it is absolutely okay to ask for money for this, to charge them for this, because that's how you will be able to continue do the job that you do if your business works as well, So, but here is an example. If you only charge 15 euro, which is a very little fee, then it pays for itself very quickly. Not to mention that Zyto Balance helps you grow within the network that you are in. It helps you have better sales. It works as your client's database. It has so many benefits. I mentioned some of those in my previous videos as well, so I don't want to repeat myself, but if you have questions, I'm happy to help with those. So just stay creative, organize events. We provide marketing materials that you can use. You can offer free scans to people who refer their friends to you, so you can have your own referral program. There are so many ways to use this and to market your business with Zyto. And one more thing that you can use to earn money is the referral program. If you refer someone to purchase Zyto Balance, Life Prosper is going to reward you with points. So I'm sure you can find more information on the Life Prosper website, but I just wanted to mention this possibility for you so you are aware of this. Okay, so this is Zyto Balance Report Interpretation webinar number 3. I'm looking forward to our webinar number 4 and to actually talk to you guys, to get questions for you, to reply to them. That will be a great experience to get to know you better this way. I hope that this has been helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm here for you. And see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.